Live streaming is on.
Would you be spotlighting the screen? All right. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्. Today it's called Chalo Lanka. We're going to go to Lanka and we're going to reach it, but we are preparing. We are imagining ourselves to be in the Vanara Sena of Sri Ramachandra, if you like. After listening to Hanumanji, Sri Ramachandra, while being inspired and enthusiastic to go to Lanka to recover Sita Devi back, suddenly became despondent. And his despondency was, oh, this ocean is too vast. Sita is on the other side. I'm here with all this army of Vanaras. Is it at all possible that I will meet my beloved Sita? Who can cross there except for Garuda, Vayu, and Hanuman? No one else can go there. And so he became despondent, almost pessimistic, if you will, that there is no hope. He wouldn't be able to be united with Sita Devi, who's pining for him, and he's pining for her. And we left with last week that it is always good to have friends who can help us snap out of such states of mind. Sugriva, who's a dear friend of Sri Ramachandra, is unable to bear that Ramachandra, the crowning glory of the Ikshvaku dynasty, the entire Raghu dynasty has been glorified and honored just by his appearance in that family. How can he speak like this? Almost seems like a weak man. And one may wonder that. And there are many, many speakers of the Ramayana who will tell us that Ramachandra behaves like an ordinary man. He has his weaknesses and he behaves in a way that is very human. We take such comments with a grain of salt. Ramachandra is definitely playing the role of a human being, no doubt. And by such demonstrations, he's showing us that he's showing us how a human being might uh, look at mountainous, formidable challenges that they may lose hope or heart. So, from that perspective, maybe. But it does not mean that Ramachandra is a human being and that he loses his identity as the supreme personality of Godhead. Now, can the supreme person behave so? And therefore, to our rescue comes Srila Rupa Goswami. And I'm saying it right now because we are going to hear more of it in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Canto 2, Chapter 1, verses 246, 47, and 48. Rupa Goswami says, and I'm going to read it to you. Ashtadasha Mahadoshay Rahita Bhagavat Tanuhu Sarvaishwarya Mai Satya Vigyananda Rupini. There are 18 fallacies within a human being. Those 18 fallacies, one may say Ramachandra also exhibits. However, Rupa Goswami tells us Ashtadasha Mahadoshay, these 18, he calls them Mahadoshas, defects. Rahita Bhagavat Tanu, that the Supreme's form is not possessing. Rahita means released of or devoid of these 18 great defects. Why? Because his form is made of that pure Satchit Ananda potencies. Sarvaishwarya Mayi Satya Vigya Ananda Rupini. His form is Sat Chit and Ananda. Okay. What are these 18 doshas? I'm going to skip the Sanskrit. You're welcome to refer to it. Bewilderment, sleep, error, rough attachment, lust that produces suffering, fickleness, intoxication, envy, violence, exhaustion, toil, dishonesty, anger, hankering, worry, absorption in worldly affairs, prejudice, and dependency on others. And this set of verses, two sets, Rupa Goswami takes from Vishnu Yamala. That's a scripture. He takes that to show us. Now, Lord Ramachandra seems to exhibit many of these things. Violence, is getting ready for war. He killed 14,000 Rakshasas, Haradushana Trishiras. He seems to be fickle-minded. Just now, he said, let's go. And then he thinks, oh, how is it possible? Is there exhaustion? Is there toil, meaning working? Of course, dishonesty, anger. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami, while commenting on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, tell us that there are two things that the Lord will never exhibit. One was rough attachment and lust that produces suffering. Except these two, the Supreme Lord, Sri Ramachandra, Sri Krishna, may exhibit, and he does so out of affection for his selflessly affectionate devotees. It creates a sense of thrill in his pastimes. It creates a sense of excitement, adventure, etc. in his pastimes, and therefore he may exhibit these. And that's the only reason he would do it. So Sugriva, who's playing the role of a friend, naturally, he has to have some service. So he steps in and he says, Kim Tvaya Tapyate Veera. Oh, hero, why are you uh, feeling so much of agitation? Uh, I- Ma evam bhutasya santapa kritagna iva sauhridam. Just as an ungrateful person leaves his or her friends without even thinking, you should also give up this lamentation. Very nice analogy. And then he tells him a very beautiful aphorism, which I'm going to explain a little bit, but it is a guiding principle. And Ramachandra makes Sugriva speak it. He says, Nirutsahasya dinasya shokaparya kulatmanah shokapari akula atmanah sarvartha vyavasidanti vyasanam cha adhigacchati. This is a fantastic verse for us along the path of sadhana bhakti. If we ever seem to lose enthusiasm, it is important to course correct if we know what such loss of enthusiasm or being unenthusiastic, what the consequence of it will be. So he says, Nir utsahasya, for one of one who has no enthusiasm or one who loses it. Dinasya. Dinasya means very lowly, in this case, very helpless. When one thinks, I'm helpless, or I've lost all enthusiasm, we're never helpless. The Supreme Lord and his devotees are always there. The Shastras are there. The Vani is there. All the resources are there for us to hold on to. But we cannot say, oh, I don't feel like holding on to. Nothing is coming towards me. It's all right there. It's a matter of we holding it. So, nirutsahasya dinasya shoka pari akula atmanah. One whose mind is completely mixed in or embedded in shoka. The prefix pari that appears in Bhagavad Gita and other Shastras again and again and again, it means in a complete sense or from all sides. It's called pari. So he says, pari akula atmana, where one whose mind is surrounded by shoka, lamentation. So these three things, lack of enthusiasm, feeling helpless, because one is so caught up by shoka, lamentation of whatever is the kind. Sarva artha vyavasidanti. Sarva artha vyavasidanti. One loses all meaning. One loses everything they have worked for. And vyasanam adhigacchati. One becomes very degraded in one's behavior. Degraded in behavior because degraded in thoughts. So degradation means to the extent of thinking sadhana bhakti is not for me, or this is not the process for me, or I have no friends, the Supreme Lord has absolutely no mercy upon me. Uh, Whatever one can think about oneself, I've heard a range of things. I'm terrible, I'm horrible. These are all vyasanam adhigacchati. And then such things lead to unwholesome behavior. So Sugriva is telling Ramachandra, don't be like that. Look around you. Ime shuraha samartascha sarvato hariyutapa. This entire monkey army has shining, great, great personalities. This entire army is there waiting to help you. And shuraha, they are very, very powerful, mighty people. They can do anything possible. All you have to do is get on the program. So, Ramachandra, come on, let's go. In fact, Hanuman has already gone and seen Lanka. Hatam cha Ravanam yuddhe darshanad vadharya abadharya. Yes, seen Lanka. Look at the persons who are in the on this team. Each one of them are so powerful that, in fact, as soon as you look at Ravana, just consider that Ravana is dead. You are that kind of personality, plus you have an amazing team. All of us waiting to help you. So please get up. Then Ramchandra became pacified. And he said, okay, let's go. Let's go towards Lanka. When Ramachandra heard this very, very assuring message from Sugriva, then Ramachandra again looked at Hanumanji and told him, I can cross this ocean. And by my tapasya, I can build a bridge if required, or I can dry up this entire ocean. So what will all barricades and fortifications of Lanka do anyway? It can't stop me. And so you tell me all the different fortifications of Lanka. I want to hear. I'm not going to go through the details of this chapter because Hanuman goes through how the Lanka is situated on an island. The ocean is full of crocodiles and snakes and dangerous animals. Then there are three peaks, the Trikutas, and right in the middle of those three peaks is this fascinating city of Lanka that is not approachable by water, by land, by air, because none of the demigods, devas, gandharvas, yakshas, nagas, kinnaras, kimpurushas have ever dared to get into Lanka's airspace. Right now, for what's happening in the world, there are airspaces and air traffic routes that are becoming more and more difficult. So no one has dared enter Lanka's airspace. And once you get there, the northern door, the eastern, southern, and western doors have hundreds and thousands and millions of Rakshasas guarding it. The doors have massive locks, and there are spears that as soon as someone tries to get there, these spears, millions of spears, will shoot at the army, etc. There's a whole detailed description that Hanuman gives, essentially saying that Lanka is very, very difficult to go by water, by air, or by land. There is a river that is surrounding the entire Lanka. So, how are we going to go? Each gate has 2 million. Next gate has 10 times that. A third gate has 10 times that. And a fourth gate has 10 times that number of Rakshasas guarding. However, Hanuman says the entire Lanka can be easily finished. In fact, none of the Vanaras need to go. I already went there and I destroyed much of Lanka. And on this army, we have Angada, Dvivida, Mainda, Jambavan, Panasa, Nala, Neela. If these seven can go there, they can easily recover Sita, finish Ravana, and everything will be done. In fact, no need for anybody else to go. That's how powerful this Vanara army is. Just these generals, seven of them. And in this list, he doesn't include himself because he's talking to Sri Ramachandra, and a learned person will never thump his own chest. He said, I went and I made some destruction, but these seven, they can take care of everything. Anyway, having heard Hanumanji, Ramachandra said, this afternoon at 12 noon, when the sun is at its peak, is the Muhurtam time called Abhijit, sometimes called Vijaya, is very, very auspicious. And we should make our journey towards Lanka right now. And then there's a whole set of astronomical indicators. I don't know astronomy. I don't know astrology. So I can't speak much on those details, but he says such and such constellation, Uttara Phalguni is there. We should start today. And then he gives, these are nice organizational details. Ramachandra says, Neela, who's our commander-in-chief, he should take 100,000 Vanaras with him and go much ahead of the army. And the purpose is to find the best route. And the best route, if is very sweet. Ramachandra is not saying find the best route that is the quickest. Of course, he has to get Sita Devi, but he's carrying an army of monkeys. And as a leader, he's very, very kind, empathic, and concerned about his army. So he says, find that route that is full of trees that are full of fruits and berries and things that our army will need to eat as they have to go through from Kishkinda all the way to the northern shore of the Southern Ocean. So find that route where there are trees, ample places where the monkeys, if they need to rest, if they have to eat, there is ample food for them. So this 100,000 group led by Neela should go ahead and chart out the best route. Then he says, among the rest of the Vanara Sena, and we don't know the number just yet, when this army reaches Lanka, Ravana will ask how many monkeys are there, because he comes to his terrace and he looks, and wherever direction he's looking, he sees a sea of monkeys. And at that time, Valmiki gives a description of, or quantifies how many Vanaras are there. That number system is staggering. We'll come to that later. So hold on. Remember, we'll get there. Ramachandra says, okay, Gaja and Gavaya, who are very, very strong. Gaja, Gavaya, Gavaksha, okay, will lead this entire army in the front. The monkey called Rishabha, and so they're not just alone. Each of them has hundreds of thousands of monkeys in their group. So that group will lead the rest of the army from the front. Rishabha and his group will flank the army on the right side, just so that Ravana's Rakshasas or someone else can attack the army. Who knows? Once it is war, as they say, anything is fair in love and war. Not that I believe in it, but as they say, anything can happen. And Ravana, such a treacherous fellow, he can come up with some tricks. So Rishabha will guard the army on the right side. Gandhamadana, who's very, very strong, like an elephant in rut, will flank the entire left side of the army. Mounting on Hanuman, I, and mounting on Angada, Lakshmana will be right in the middle of the army. This is a fascinating uh, statement by Sri Ramachandra. All this while, Sri Ramachandra, for 13 years, has walked the entire length of Bharatavarsha. But when it comes to crossing the ocean, he's going to sit on Hanuman's shoulders. That means when the living entity, each one of us, Sita Devi, is eagerly waiting for the appearance of the Lord, both in form and in sound form. It has to be, the Supreme Lord has to be brought or carried by the Guru. And Hanuman sitting, Ramachandra sitting on Hanuman's shoulder is a visual of the Guru bringing the mantra, carrying the mantra and bringing to release the soul in captivity. And then he says, he glorifies Angada, that Angada is just like Kubera. Who Angada is so strong and powerful like Kubera, but he will act like Kubera's elephant, Sarvabhauma, that guards the directions. That particular direction for which Kubera is the Dikpala. Then he says, Jambavan, Sushena, Vegadarshi, these three will protect the army from the rear. So, like this entire army started moving. And while they were moving, Sugriva started giving detailed orders, just as Ramachandra said. He said, we're all going to follow Ramachandra. This is how the army is going to move. And with Sugriva as the head of the army, they started moving, and tens, Valmiki says, hundreds, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, hundreds of millions of monkeys, each looking like massive elephants, were moving. Imagine a mighty army of so powerful Vanaras moving. It's like the ocean that moves towards the shore. As the army is moving, it's not like they're walking or marching in some order. They're monkeys. Some monkeys are rolling and somersaulting, cartwheeling. Some are jumping. Some are screaming. Some are shouting. Some are pumping their chests. Some are shrieking. And loudly they're talking to each other. Yeah, we'll finish off Ravana. We'll finish him off. We'll finish off the army of Rakshasas. They are getting pumped, as they say, getting so enthusiastic that they are moving towards Lanka. It says Ravana and all of the Rakshasas will be killed by us. So these monkeys, as they were going, walking and walking and walking, there's a whole description. They have come This entire army is roaring like the ocean. And finally, as crossing through the Sahaya Mountains, turning this way, they reach the ocean. I think here's where they reach the ocean. Yeah. While they're walking, Lakshmana, who's on Angada's shoulders, I must say, um, Yuddha Kanda is very difficult because the kind of details that are there for war, to remember everything is really hard. And I'm trying to make it as descriptive as possible. I have my notes, the book is here, but to pick the certain words, and also astrology and astronomy is hard. So bear with me. So as Lakshmana is on Angada, Ramachandra is right next to him. Lakshmana narrates how all auspicious signs are showing up in the sky. This shows how Lakshmana is so expert in astronomy himself. He talks that the sun is right on top in the zenith. It's the Muhurta of Abhijit. The Venus is right behind them. The such and such constellation is on this quarter of the sky. That constellation is on that quarter of the sky. The Saptarishi formation is such and such, all auspiciously aligned for our project that we are going to go to bring Sita Devi. The monkeys, and I'm going to read the Sanskrit of this, very nice. In English, the translation says, like a continuous line of clouds that was enveloping the heavens, the formidable army of monkeys proceeded along, encompassing the southern quarter along with the mountains, the woods, and the sky. It was not like a tiny army. During monsoon season, of course, the thing about monsoon is if we are located in a certain place, we can only see clouds to the extent that our eyes will allow. But if you are taking a satellite picture or map, then you can see that the clouds, they are connected to each other like a chain or a link, and the entire cloud formation moves northeastern side. We just many of people in the US were attacked by, or not attacked, had to bear the brunt of Hurricane Helene in the Florida Gulf area, North Carolina, Georgia. Georgia got hit really badly, but the storm was so strong, the winds, that all the way up to the Midwest, where we are located in Cleveland, Ohio, the weather changed for us. There was rains and winds. We are so far away, but the clouds can extend to over such a massive landmass. So this entire monkey of army is moving like that. Uh, Let me see if I can tell you the verse here. Yeah. Yeah, I can't find that particular verse. I have the English in front of me. But anyway, some monkeys walking slowly, some are walking fast, some are jumping and hopping and skipping because they're all eager to get to Lanka. They haven't even, they're not thinking we have to get to the ocean. They're thinking we have to get to Lanka. They will worry about crossing the ocean later. Their confidence is Ramachandra is with us, Lakshmana is with us, Hanuman, Angada, Jambavan, Sugriva, and Neela. All these great people are there. We're just going to follow and get to our destination. So I'm going to pause there because there's so much more description of as they are moving, what happens. But let me see if there are any comments or thoughts or reflections. I don't know if any questions because we didn't speak anything philosophical, but let's see if there are any comments. I'm going to put on these because that's the only way I can hear you if you speak something.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my
Hare Krishna.
humble obeisances. All grace Prabhupada, all grace to your services. Prabhu, uh, maybe I didn't heard you properly, but you raise a point that there is always a tendency or of when you, let's say, I don't know how I'm comparing this thing, but when we have some problem in the process of Krishna consciousness, and I don't know, I heard this statement, that's why I'm making this question. Not making it and posing this question. When we have some problem in Krishna consciousness, the first thing is that we try to find the problem with the process, with the authorities, with the temple, with the guru, with the, and I don't know, is there any reason I'm making this? Because did you raise any point, Prabhu, about that? Any comparison?
No. All I said was there are reasons for which we may lose our enthusiasm. Nirutsaha, Deenasya. So Sugriva says such a person loses everything they have worked for. And avasidanti. And then he says vyasanam adhigacchati. Vyasanam means degradation. One gives into their lower nature. Well, it's a good principle to remember that to be enthusiastic or to continue being enthusiastic or to become enthusiastic is within us, not externally. We may take help from people, from scripture, from the deity, guru, but it's within us to take that step.
So what I
That was the
understand
point.
is that, yes, Prabhu, thank you for sharing that. So what I understand that when we lose enthusiasm, the first thing comes is that we bring our lower nature. Why exactly it happens that we immediately bring our lower nature when we lose determination or motivation or enthusiasm? Is there any specific reason behind that?
Because it's called weakness. And you know the phrase, I may not know the entire shloka, but that Maya jhapatiya dhare. As soon as one turns, Prabhupada says Maya is already there. The Maya is that we don't see the connection with Krishna. We don't experience the connection with the Supreme Lord. There are things or activities or situations or circumstances that may make us disconnect when it is meant to help us connect strongly. So it can become weaker. That's possible. After all, we are tiny. Krishna says, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. It's possible to feel disconnected, but to make the connection is our responsibility. It won't happen on its own or it won't happen passively. That's what Sugriva, as a friend, is telling Ramachandra. You are the Veera. You are the scion of the Ikshvaku dynasty. Why are you giving into this kind of weakness? And we're all there. We're all there to help you.
Thank you. So we need our good friends and mentors and our authorities to guide us when we are going lower in enthusiasm, right, Prabhu?
Friends, mentors, I call them tormentors, scripture, deity, guru, your own inspiration, whatever it works. It's not a standard formula, but there are so many resources. So let's generalize and say we find whatever resource we can hold on to that will help us reconnect or make that connection stronger.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Just one more point I want to add it. In that situation where the enthusiasm is low, scriptures always doesn't work well, but of course, when we hear from the authorities or mentors or friends, that works well for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. In this case, Sugriva is speaking. He is speaking. And even in Arjuna's case, Krishna is speaking to him. So sometimes it helps. Some people, something else. Each one of us, the important thing is each one of us needs to find our own resource that helps us connect. Yours may not work for me, mine may not work for such and such.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to
Please
Srila
accept
Prabhupada
mine.
Maharaj. Thank you so much for wonderful class, Prabhuji. I just wanted to reflect some points.
Yeah, I've been
Uh,
asking, please.
I really loved the statement that you made that all that is needed to maintain enthusiasm is already available in the form of scriptures, Vani, the instructions, and everything. All that we need to do is hold on, emphasizing that it's an active process. It's not just one time done thing or
Yes.
passively it keeps happening. The second thing I was really fascinated about how you mentioned that Lord Ramchandra, although he is the strength of all living entities, he speaks as if he's an ordinary person and incapable of doing anything. And then
Hmm.
Sugriva is encouraging. Sugriva is just an ordinary mortal living entity, yet he is encouraging Lord Ramchandra, saying, "Yeah, there's a powerful army at his command." Uh, the picture I was seeing, the visual that I was getting when you were speaking this was somehow Lord Krishna lifting Govardhan. And during that time also all the Gopas, they were thinking, oh, Lord Krishna needs help. So let us all put our sticks up and assist him in
Yeah.
lifting Govardhan. And Lord Krishna very nicely lets it go for a little while, breaking all the sticks.
Let's unflur that a little bit. The Supreme Lord, who doesn't need anything, anybody, becomes or exhibits dependency on his devotees as a way of endearing them even more. It's sweet for the devotees; they love it, and he loves it. He comes to our home as a deity and is dependent on us to wake him up, to put him to rest, to feed him, to bathe him, to sing for him, glorify him, think about, oh, cooking for him, buying for him. It's cold for the deity, it's warm for the deity, whatever. It's almost like he is dependent. Although the reality is that each one of us is trying to be fully dependent upon him, but within that place, he becomes dependent on us as if he is, and he makes us believe so. And I don't even have the right words right now. I'm too uh, excited about it. Is just that if he draws us closer by being dependent. Oh, it's cold for the deity. It's too hot right now. Or, you know, if you offer something too hot, it'll burn his tongue. Whatever. It's almost like he's not. But he exhibits these things to bring out within the devotees a sense of joy because now, oh, he's mine. He's one of me. I'm one of his intimate members, etc., etc. So it's very, very sweet. Very, very sweet. Thanks to Rupa Goswami for giving us this secret that one may think, though, that he does it out of joy for his devotees.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's really very fascinating.
It is fascinating. Okay, anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Atulya Devidasi.
Krishna,
Um,
Atulya.
joining after a long time. So, Prabhu, I
You
was
joined Yuddha Kanda.
I've been hearing the recordings on YouTube,
Uh,
some of them. Prabhu, I was reflecting on Lakshmana commenting on the astrological, formations and signs of auspiciousness.
yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, how much significance it had on Lord Ramachandra's victory. Like, we also hear in our Gaudiya Vaishnavism that, as long as we're chanting the holy name, we don't worry about which direction the deities are installed, or, all the Vastu things or the astrological things. So would you like to comment on getting the right perspective?
Yeah, why not? Ramayana is a scripture that is for everybody, not just a slice of devotees. So there are 18, according to Ramanujacharya. He learnt and explored and spoke on or wrote on. They're called the 18 cardinal teachings. He heard the Ramayana 18 times over a year or more than 1 year from his guru Shailapurna. That is a fascinating story how he learned it. But of those 18, then he identifies there is the science of astrology or astronomy. There is the science of indicators, the birds indicating the animals, the deer are running in the same direction, cross this direction. There's a black cow or something that goes that way. The deer are indicating it's called Shakuna Shastra because the birds were indicating where Sita Devi might be, etc. So that's a valid science. In the previous times, people used to use and say, oh, this is an auspicious time, this is an inauspicious time. For example, the auspicious or inauspicious, not necessarily personal, but in terms of the environment. Okay. Let's say you have to drive somewhere. Would you look at the weather chart that, oh, this is going to dump 15 inches of snow in the next half an hour, or it's going to rain heavily, torrential rain? Would you take some guidance from that or say, I'm a devotee of Krishna. I don't mind. I'll plow through snow in my Toyota Prius. I mean, I'm saying Prius because I have one. It's such a weak car, but you'd say, oh, looks like it's going to rain or snow. Maybe I change my uh, journey accordingly or modify it. So that's one factor. Second, astrology, a very valid, powerful science. At the same time, highly, I shouldn't say highly, since I don't know anything about it. Let's say not fully grasped by both the practitioners and the appliers, the people who consume it. I've come to this conclusion for myself that 90% of the astrologers can be perhaps 40% accurate. So the science itself is not so, but it's a valid science. The scientists may not be so skilled at it. Now, does it mean that one becomes so absorbed in the astronomy or astrology that they won't do anything? No. These entire army is moving towards Lanka. But there's nothing wrong in taking help of favorable environmental circumstances. For a plane that is flying, if the tailwind is or whatever is helping, then it uses less fuel and the trip becomes more efficient. It can be faster too. In that sense, the expediency or the favorability is not the central point. The central point is one's objective. In this case, to release Sita Devi or our bhakti, we want to feel that strong connection with the Lord, and we take help of favorable things. Why would I act against nature if it is unfavorable? Why would I do it? Doesn't make sense, right? Knowingly, I will not act against nature if nature is indicating something. So I will take help of that, but that's not the only thing in and of itself. It's a factor in my ultimate objective.
Yes, Prabhu. Makes sense.
I'm not
Thank you.
astrology focused. I'm focused on Krishna and Sri Ramachandra. This, if it helps, great. If it doesn't help, still my focus is that. Ultimately, none of the planets, anything can influence or desire that way. But that conclusion is each person's realization. I cannot tell you discard astrology. I cannot say that to you because your faith about astrology is your faith. I am nobody to tell you don't depend on it. I'm nobody to tell you you should only depend on it either. Each person will take what their faith allows them to take. For example, one should be a fully surrendered devotee of the Lord and absolutely not do anything for their safety and protection, like Prahlad Maharaj did. I know the next, as soon as I speak that statement, in 5 seconds, I would fail miserably because that's not how my faith. I can't see that yes yet. Theoretically, yes, I accept that or I understand that. I can't live like that. The way Prahlad Maharaj lived, being attacked and pushed into a vat of oil, boiling oil, and thrown into fire and thrown off a cliff. He didn't do anything to protect himself. Nothing. Didn't cry, didn't say anything. But each person has to come to that level of faith that says this much I can depend on, or up to this point is okay, then I feel agitated. Make sense, Atulya?
Yes, Prabhu. Also, at the same time, like when we say bhakti is not dependent on anything material, does it also, like the astrology, though it's science given by Krishna, does it fall under material configurations, or is it part of like spiritual influence? Like how do you place it?
There is no material spiritual, it's all one energy. From the view of the person using it, it appears this way or that way.
Mm.
That's all it is. So it's all from the view of the person. If I just rely on astrology, for what? What's the motivation? That's what would make it going to job, going and working, and is it material or spiritual? Depends on how one sees it. Eating food, material or spiritual, depends on how one sees it. Going to sleep, whatever. One has to see what's the purpose. Now there are certain activities that don't allow for any connection with the Lord. That's a different thing.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Okay, any final comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Sarvabhauma,
Please
you're
accept my
named
humble
after the great Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Yes, what's up?
Yeah, Prabhu. Just in those lines, I was just contemplating on the fact that although Lord depends on nothing or bhakti depends on nothing material, but when there's significant events concerning Lord's appearance or disappearance, all the auspicious stars accordingly act. For example, when Yudhishthir Maharaj was hearing from Arjuna about Lord Krishna's disappearance or about to, trying to anticipate, he was seeing a lot of inauspicious events like the animals were crossing to the left side and all. So those inauspicious signs were indicators of Lord's disappearance. Similarly, when Lord appeared, all the auspicious planets aligned to celebrate that occasion, Rohini, Nakshatra, and everything aligned with that. So it's all aligned with Lord's appearance and Lord's activities or pastimes. So just I was contemplating on that. And the other point was like at the time of Sri Krishna Balaram temple inauguration. So Srila Prabhupada also knew that bhakti doesn't depend on anything, but he took help from the smartas and all just to increase the acceptance of ISKCON at the moment. So I was just contemplating on these 2
That's
points.
different. But yes, I accept the spirit of it. Sure.
The astronomy and similar those vastus and all those aspects, just to get more acceptance on that. That was my thought process. You may add more on that.
No, I don't have anything different to add. But yes, Shakuna Shastra is a valid science. Whether we can recognize it or not, where are the birds anymore? Where are the Shakunas that we can assess? When the right eye is twitching, Ramachandra's right eye is twitching. Valmiki writes about when Sugriva and Ramachandra shook hands and walked around the fire. Sita Devi, Vali, and Ravana, all of their left eye was throbbing. It was auspicious for her, inauspicious for both of them. So it's a valid science. We may not have access to it. We may not necessarily be looking for it or dependent on it. But it's a science. It's definitely a science. Shamakun, do you have any comment on all this?
Yes, just reflecting on the initial part that you were saying, and you elaborated further also later in the discussion about how Lord Ramachandra is accessible. And we see it in different incarnations, he is accessible in various ways. The Saushiliam aspect of Lord Ramachandra. In the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his ecstasies, he is dependent on the devotees so that they can bring him up, wake him up. In Vamana, as Vamanadev, and after his uh, dealings with Bali Maharaj later on, he still has many interactions with the Devatas. That's given the Brihad Bhavatamrita. Krishna has with the gopis. Lord Ramachandra here is depending on Sugriva. And we often hesitate to go out and reach out. I mean, the Supreme Lord is doing it to show it to us, reach out, not for himself, but for us. And most of the times, we hesitate to reach out. That was what I was thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. You have anything on the Shakuna Shastra astrology topic?
Exactly as what you said, Prabhu. I mean, you bang on the target that 90% of the astrologers know are true at 40% of the time or so. Maybe 40, the number may change here and there. But just to add to it, astrology can be divined by only that person who is pure in character and who's pure in meditating upon some deity in the Vedic canon. He needs the blessings from the other deities, and it's very rare. And the person by himself should actually undergo tapasya in his daily life. It is the lack of the tapasya in many cases and the compassion which makes a person an astrologer, a very qualified astrologer, not to give accurate predictions. So it's very tough in that sense.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to pause here and we'll meet again next Saturday. We'll see if the Vanaras reach the shore of the ocean or not. Until then, we take strength from, I like the way Shamakun Prabhu said, we take strength from the Lord Sri Ramachandra and other forms showing us that to reach out to our resources, whatever that might be for us, to reach out is a sign of strength, and maybe access that strength whenever we find ourselves struggling for, or feeling a lack of, or a dwindling of our enthusiasm, if we ever feel helpless, be careful that the consequence of it is all that we have worked for can be lost, could be lost, and then it takes a lot to regain it. But there is a safety net provided by the Supreme Lord and his wonderful resources, associates, his words, the sages, the parampara, etc., etc. So much is available. It's a matter of reaching out. Thank you. Shri Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki